look at this day at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The weather could not be any better. The season so far for these two clubs could be. Hard to believe that with this much firepower, Troy Aikman, the Saints and the Packers, here in week 4, this game almost has a feeling of desperation for these two teams.
Well, I think there is desperation for both of these teams, especially the New Orleans Saints. I mean, who would have thought, as you said, coming into this game here in week 4, that there would be one win amongst them.
It belongs to the Packers. They beat Chicago week 2. That's it. An off week go. We're glad you're with us. It's Cobb from a yard deep in the end zone. They fake a reverse, and Cobb will cross the 20 where he's knocked down near the 24. That's where the Green Bay Packers will begin the day, and Aaron Rodgers will come onto the field. And you can talk about replacement refs and the way the game ended on Monday night in Seattle, but the numbers aren't good, and Aaron Rodgers, the league's reigning MVP, has got to pick up his play.
Well, he does, and he's been a little bit of a piñata here through the first part of this season. Sacked 8 times last week. Part of that has been the offensive line, but part of that's been him too.
Handoff is to Benson, who came to life with more opportunity in the second half last week at Seattle. We came on the air a little differently than usual because of the audience mainly sticking with that game. So Atlanta, they remain undefeated in the same division with the New Orleans Saints, the only team in the conference without a win. 2 yards for Benson on first down, 2nd and 8. Trying to establish the run, and the play is made off the edge by Greer. A gain of 5 by Benson. 3rd down coming up. We have a new audience joining us, and that's us. And this is our matchup on, as you can see, a beautiful day in Green Bay. First possession, so you haven't missed anything. And Aaron Rodgers in the offense for Green Bay, setting up for 3rd and 3. From out of the shotgun, good protection. Rodgers finds a man. Pass is caught by Jones, and he went backward after the catch. Short of first down yardage, a gain of 2. But well played out on the edge. Jabari Greer was in coverage, and it's 4th down. So it's 3 and out right out of the gate for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense.
And right from the beginning, Mike McCarthy wanting to establish the running game. They got away from that last week in the first half against Seattle. They're also facing a New Orleans team that has given up a lot of yardage on the ground. The Packers unable to really get a lot going there on 1st and 2nd down, but the Saints go single high safety on 3rd down. There was a time where the Packers would just eat that up, and they failed to convert on the 3rd down.
Fast day with a punt. Sproles waiting, and from just outside the 20. Out to the 25, that's it. Tackle made by John Kuhn downfield, a Pro Bowler from a year ago, and here is Drew Brees, who checks in with a quarterback rating of 77, 25th best in the NFL. He has thrown a touchdown pass in 46 straight games. He's 1 away from tying the all-time NFL record held by Johnny Unitas of 47 straight games back in the late 50s through 1960. Starting at the 25. Pass is caught. Colston made the grab just outside the 30, a gain of 6. DJ Smith, second-year linebacker, there to make the stop. And we'll look at this offensive line. They added Grubbs. They lost Carl Nix to Tampa Bay, and then the backs and receivers for Drew Brees. Their big weapon is Jimmy Graham, the tight end. He's caught a touchdown pass in 6 straight. On 2nd down and 4, handoff is to Thomas, and Pierre Thomas is knocked down maybe inches shy of the 35, depends on the spot. A.J. Hawk gets up yelling, and he's part of that defense for Green Bay, which comes in overall ranked third in the NFL, number 1 against the pass. It's third down and 1, quick snap, and what a play made in the backfield. It was Clay Matthews on Pierre Thomas, and Matthews is going to force a punt.
Where you're going to see they're going to block down here, and then Matthews is going to come around the edge, and they're anticipating that they'll be able to get the handoff and get him in the hole before Matthews is able to get there. Either that or the fullback was supposed to block back and secure the backside, but an excellent play there by Clay Matthews.
Randall Cobb, a weapon for Green Bay, will wait for it. Not a good punt at all. Straight out of bounds off the foot of Thomas Morstead, who had a career-long 70-yard punt last week at home in that loss to Kansas City. Just 28 yards. Good field position for the Packers. No score at Lambeau. These are two teams that combined for 28 wins, just 4 losses last year. A big part of the Packers' success, they led the NFL in points in the first quarter. So far, they've been shut out. The only team in the NFL that hasn't put up any points in the opening quarter. They got off to fast starts last year and were able to ride a defense that struggled, especially against the pass. Rodgers throws, sideline caught, Nelson. And Jordy Nelson is forced out of bounds by Robinson after a gain of 15.
I was talking about it there on that first possession for Green Bay. You're seeing a lot more teams this year play Green Bay this way, one-on-one with the receivers, single high safety. Seattle did it throughout that game last week, and the Packers have just been unable to take advantage of it. Good route by Jordy Nelson.
Here's Benson, who has really impressed the Packers with his practice habits, a gain of 5. We'll give you a look at this offense, which comes in ranked, believe it or not, 25th in the NFL. There's the offensive line, and Bulaga struggled last week in Seattle, to say the least, and he's been bothered by a bad right knee.
Well, he did struggle, but Joe, I think you could say that about any one of those 5 guys up front.
8 sacks in the first half for Seattle against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. How about another first down? It's Finley. And he gets spun out of bounds at the 31. A gain of 12.
Good protection there. They're just going to get the ball quickly out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. And one of the things Mike McCarthy talked to us about, Joe, is they wanted to really run an up-tempo offense, and they are doing that here on this possession.
Oh, that's 3.
Rodgers, good protection over the middle. Off the hands of Greg Jennings. Had a man. The pass had some heat on it, and it went right through number 85's hands, 2nd and 10. Here's the defense for the Saints. First-year coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, former head coach of the Rams, and it's been a struggle.
Well, it has been. They haven't been able to stop the run, really in any of the games that they've played. And last week, Jamal Charles for Kansas City rushes for over 230 yards, and the Packers are hopeful they'll be able to get some of their running game going.
To the 8. Rocket.
Sold out Lambeau Field. It sounds like they're at practice. That's Nelson. And Jordy Nelson down inside the 15 to the 12. So 3 big completions from Aaron Rodgers on this second possession, 2 to Nelson.
Yeah, even that throw there, Aaron Rodgers behind on the throw. Jordy Nelson able to make the completion. It's a nice gain. But you just see some throws. We saw that attempt to Greg Jennings versus man-to-man coverage where they did not connect. And those are just some of the misses that we've seen throughout this part of the year.
With Benson in the backfield, Rodgers throws. Pass is dropped by Finley. Had it, juggled it, and then lost it. With Shanley back there defending.
Yeah, it's good coverage. There's 2 deep safeties, and so the middle of the field is the weakness within that coverage, and Shanley's got his back to Aaron Rodgers, and so a ball up high and right into the hands of Michael Finley. He struggled with drops last year. He had 11, and this, I believe, Joe, is his 4th drop here this year.
Yeah. Now 2nd and 10. Rodgers flushed out to his left, stays upright, has a man, touchdown. James Jones.
Will Smith brings upfield pressure, and then Broderick Bunkley's going to come around. But it's Smith, that pressure, that gets Aaron Rodgers to step up in the pocket, and he's able to avoid then Bunkley. And then it's just a scramble drill, and a really nice job by James Jones keeping this play alive and then making a play.
So the question was, how would the Packers respond short week after feeling, and rightly so, like they had a win taken away from them in Seattle? There's a penalty flag on the extra point.
Number 75, offense. 10-yard penalty, retry.
They get Brian Bulaga for a hold. Aaron Rodgers helping to get this crowd ignited at Lambeau Field and getting early points, their first quarter points of the season. It's James Jones, who's really kind of developed into a dependable receiver for Aaron Rodgers.
Probably having the best start to a season that he's had since his rookie year.
Becomes a 30-yard extra point try, and this one just sneaks through. Aaron Rodgers gets touchdown pass number 4 on the year. More frustration for that Saints defense. New Orleans down 7. That was a nice little video montage of the Shield. They talk about the NFL. There's a scoring drive. 7-play drive, and it was capped on the 12-yarder to James Jones. Now Darren Sproles will try to give the Saints a little jolt of life here at Lambeau. Can he do it with a kneel down? I don't think so. Steve Spagnuolo brings the defense here to Green Bay, last ranked in the NFL, still trying to figure it out on the sideline. 7-0 Green Bay, Saints with the football. Well, you just get that sense of urgency, obviously, with Aaron Kromer, who's the interim to the interim head coach for the New Orleans Saints. This is Ingram. And Mark Ingram, his first carry over the right side, gets 3. Woodson in on the stop. You know, both teams talking to us, the offensive guys talked about now that the officials are back and the NFL officials fantasy camp is over. They can get more of an up-tempo offense going because the ball will be spotted quicker and they can get something working in that direction, and that's something that Breeze wants to get going. As he finds Sproles on the right side, what a good move. And he turns that into a 5-yard gain. Woodson on the stop again.
Yeah, you know, I think if you look at around the league really this year at offenses and what has happened. Last year, you know, offenses were putting up historical numbers right from week 1. This year, whether it's Green Bay or New Orleans or New England, Dallas, I mean, there's a lot of offenses that are typically pretty good that have really struggled. And you hate to blame everything on those replacement officials, but part of it is that these defenses have been able to get away with a lot more than what they normally do.
3rd down and 2. Breeze rolls right, finds his man, has a first down with Jimmy Graham. On the year, that's catch number 18, a gain of 6. And a first down for the Saints, who trail by 7.
Yeah, I think if you look at Green Bay and what they've done this year defensively, you said it early on, Joe, they've been much improved, particularly in pass defense. Last ranked last year, they're number 1 this year. But you really have to look at who they play. They haven't faced a quarterback or an offense like this New Orleans Saints team, or a quarterback like Drew Brees.
Sproles at the bottom of the screen on first down. 4-man rush. Brees finds a tight end, Thomas. And David Thomas able to hang on to the ball, gain 6. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
All right, thanks very much, Joe. Well, last week, Peyton Manning had 26 incompletions, a career high. An easier job this week against the Raiders. You see the Broncos, a nice pass there from Manning to Joel Drees at 22 yards. Denver up on Oakland 10-3. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Yeah, it's been slow starts for Manning and the Broncos after that Week 1 win over Pittsburgh. Now second down, Breeze has a man, that's Moore, and Lance Moore hops out of bounds. The Saints first down, a gain of 10. So building on what you said, this is the first real test for this Green Bay secondary and pass defense, which comes in allowing only 125 yards a game.
Yeah, I think if you look at the last 2 weeks, and Seattle last week with a rookie quarterback, and then the week before with Chicago and some of the things they're doing differently, it's just not the same kind of challenge or test that they're going to face here this afternoon.
Handoff is to Ingram. He's wrestled to the ground with a flag down, and it's a hold.
Holding, 73 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, that's one of the things. That's on Jari Evans, the right guard, and that's one of the things that has really hurt this Saints team is that they have not been really good on first down. And so when you're not more productive on first down, then what invariably happens is you have longer third down situations, and they've just not converted on those downs like they had a year ago.
Evans got a hold of Pickett. That was a call, first down and 20, and this one is caught by Graham, who's left alone. Lowers his shoulder and has a first down to the 35-yard line as Jennings was there for the ride and a gain of 23.
Yeah, hard to imagine a guy like Jimmy Graham being that open within a zone defense, but all he did was come off the ball. He was lined up at the conventional tight end position, and like it might have been Darren Woodson who vacated that zone and made for an easy completion.
122, ready. Ready, Bishop.
Handoff is to Sproles. And the little guy who set an NFL record last year with 2,696 all-purpose yards gains 4.
You know, you think about it with Darren Sproles. I mean, what a great addition he was last year. I know they sure hated to lose him there in San Diego, but with just 87 rushing attempts last year, and he was the leading rusher because he was able to do so much with them when he had the ball in his hands.
Sounds like you talked to Norv about that one. Second down and 6. Four-man rush. Breeze over the middle's got Graham again. Running right through the defense down to the 19-yard line, a gain of 12.
Again, you're going to see the Green Bay Packers playing zone coverage and how much space there is in the middle. You know, I've always felt with the players that the Packers have, Tramon Williams, of course, Charles Woodson, and some of the others, that I've always felt they're better equipped when they're in man coverage. They've played some zone on this drive, and Drew Brees with some time to throw has picked it apart.
Darren Sproles up at the top. Handoff is to Thomas, and he's brought down by Walden. A loss of 1 inside the red zone. At least that's where they were a moment ago. They're right back just at the 20 now. The New Orleans Saints offensively are 7 for 10, 70% in the red zone at converting opportunities into touchdowns. This is the 10th play of the drive, 2nd and 11. From the shotgun, Breeze into the end zone, Colston for the touchdown. Crowd wants a flag for a push-off. There is no flag, and with the extra point coming, we're close to a tie at 7.
Yeah, it sure looked to me like there was contact. Sure was. And you can see Marcus Colston, as the ball's in the air, just before it gets there, he pushes off on Morgan Burnett, and I saw it from here in real time, Joe, and we get a chance to slow it down a little bit, and it sure looked like Colston got away with one.
And look at the end of the catch. That ball is secured against the body. They will look at it. The crowd's seeing that part of the replay now. As they're showing these replays in NFL stadiums, that's why the reaction and the honeymoon with the regular officials is officially over. Well, here at Lambeau.
Yeah, these officials have been rock stars all week long, and I knew they better enjoy the moment while it lasted because it just ended.
Jeff Triplett walked out. It was like McCartney walking out on stage. He's never been welcomed like that. 7-7 game, and a flag flies on the extra point.
Holding, 71 in the offense.
They get Charles Brown for
Correction,
a hold.
80 on the offense.
Now they get Jimmy
10-yard
Graham.
penalty, retry.
How about Drew Brees? Was 7 for 7 on that drive. He spoke to the team on Wednesday and fired up the troops, saying this isn't what we are. We need to be better than this. At 0-3, they blew the lead last week. They fall behind here at Lambeau, where this organization, the Saints, have won only one time in this stadium. And now they have tied the game at 7. 49th career touchdown catch for Marcus Colston. Crowd wanted a push-off. Crowd doesn't get a push-off. Instead, we get a 7-7 game with 3:33 left, opening quarter. Great answer by the Saints. Drew Brees perfect on the drive. And it's a 7-7 game. The Saints and the Packers. Packers trying to even their record at 2-2. Saints looking for their first win. Holston gets career touchdown reception number 49, and Green Bay will get it back at the 20. So it has happened. Drew Brees has tied Johnny Unitas. 47 straight games with a touchdown pass. Remarkable. That Johnny Unitas put up in the late 50s, ending in 1960 with touchdown passes in 47 straight, was for the longest time in the category of records that won't be broken. One of the great all-time street free agent signings, Johnny Unitas. He's been playing semi-pro ball, signed by the Colts, and the rest is NFL Hall of Fame history. First pass is incomplete to Greg Jennings. And Aaron Rodgers, who looked pretty good on that second possession, Troy, is back at the controls with this drive starting at the 20.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a nice drive for Green Bay to be able to move the ball and then come away with the touchdown like they did. But even on that last throw, Joe, we've still seen them, you know, they've obviously put themselves at a very high standard because of the play last year, but they're still missing some throws here in the early going.
Here's Benson left side. They'll give him forward progress, a gain of 4 to make it 3rd down and 6 with Malcolm Jenkins in on the stop for the Saints.
And you know, Cedric Benson, you know, I talked a little bit about it. I think Mike McCarthy would really like to get this running game going. It's this has not been a good running team for a number of years, and it's a little bit surprising because I know Mike McCarthy really likes balance, but they're expecting some pretty big things out of Benson. I thought he ran awfully hard in that loss last week against Seattle and came out of it without a whole lot of yards to show for it.
It's 3rd down and 6. Rodgers has room and will try and run for it and make it. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He can run always with his eyes downfield, but picks up the 1st down by getting 7.
Sometimes when you're not really finding your rhythm and you're able to get outside the pocket, even right here, he had a chance to come to the outside to Jordy Nelson and get the completion, but he had open field and he went ahead and just took it.
Michael Finley fell down on that 3rd down route. Here's Cobb getting a block on the edge, and a nice 1st down play as James Jones threw the block, a gain of 5. They want to use him in a lot of the same ways the Saints use Darren Sproles on the other side.
These offenses are a lot alike in a lot of ways, and some of the personnel that they have, their style of play, the things that they want to do, 2 veteran quarterbacks, and you know, I've said it before, Reggie Cobb gives them an element that they really have not had around here.
What about Randall Cobb? Does he do it too? Here's Benson. Tackle is made after Benson gets a 1st down, a gain of 7. Curtis Lofton is there to make the stop.
Yeah, Randall Cobb does it too.
He dropped a Reggie on it. It's been a while for him.
Well, he came out in week 1. You remember against San Francisco and you know, lining up in the backfield. Hasn't had quite the opportunities the last couple of games.
Here's a screen for Benson. Nice play by Lofton to come in and make the stop, a gain of just 2.
Curtis Lofton, they're fortunate to have him. You know, of course, Jonathan Vilma is not playing, and they brought in Curtis Lofton, who was a productive player there in Atlanta, and he has fit right in here in New Orleans and playing more on 3rd downs than he did in Atlanta.
Rodgers fires a fastball strike, and there is Cobb for a 1st down to the New Orleans 45. a gain of 10.
Well, this is one of the guys that Aaron Rodgers just really likes within this offense, Randall Cobb, and he's got such great quickness, especially when he lines up there in the slot position, that he's able to create some separation, and then it's just a matter of Rodgers putting it on him.
Now it's Driver in the slot. Pass is caught by Finley. He stays on his feet and gets to the 25 with under 40 to play in the opening quarter, a gain of 20.
You can see Green Bay's just spreading the ball around as they do so well. You know, who are you going to cover? And it seems like each week it's a different guy who emerges. We've seen that even on this possession.
So hurrying it up for the Packers. Pass is caught. Nice play by Jenkins. He's on Donald Driver, a gain of 4. And we're through one quarter here at Lambeau Field. Urgency on the faces of these players. Packers, Saints, tied at 7. Last year, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP of the league. Drew Brees was the Offensive Player of the Year. Brees setting records. Aaron Rodgers setting records, and they are on display here, and both look sharp this afternoon. Brees 8 for 8, Rodgers 10 of 13, and each with a touchdown pass. We've seen this more and more. The defender came across early. If he forces that early jump by the offensive player directly across from him, it's on the defense.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's Balaga, who made sure everybody saw Junior Gillette come across.
Yeah, we all saw it there, Brian. You know, you talk about offense and how these quarterbacks are playing. I don't want to overstate it, Joe, but you know, both of these offenses are all about rhythm and running an up-tempo and getting as many snaps off as they can. And the way that these officials are getting the ball down on the ground, spotted, the penalties called, it really helps these offenses do the things that they want to do.
On second and short, pass is caught. First down and more. Down inside the 10. That's Finley, who's been busy. It looks like Green Bay wants to feature Jermichael Finley the way the Saints like to feature Jimmy Graham. First and goal.
Well, I think everybody around here is ready for Jermichael Finley to get back to where he was back in 2010 before his injury. I mean, he was playing lights out. He had the knee injury and got through last year, but he can be one of the real elite players in this league at that position.
That happened in a game at Washington week 5. So he missed the Super Bowl win in Arlington. All day for Rodgers. Touchdown! Jennings. '50th of the career of Greg Jennings, his first of 2012.
You just can't expect this New Orleans secondary to hold up when you give a quarterback this amount of time in the pocket. You see it's good coverage on the back end. That's why Aaron Rodgers didn't get it out of his hand quickly. But when there's no pressure, he's able to hang in there and let the guys move. And you know, we saw it on the previous touchdown to James Jones, and that was a great example of no pressure in the pocket by the Saints defense.
Aaron Rodgers has already hit 7 different receivers today. And number 7 wears number 85. And for Aaron Rodgers, who came into the game with 3 touchdown passes this season, he has 2 today. More to talk about for the Saints defense. That was at the Packers Hall of Fame yesterday. Fans had the opportunity to get a signed copy of Green Bay legend Willie Davis's autobiography, Closing the Gap. Book goes on sale to the general public tomorrow on Monday, and then really turn this Lambeau Field with a renovation into a year-round venue. With Hall of Fame, restaurants. Here's Sproles. Has a blocker in front of him, and those little legs keep churning out across the 25. 31-yard return. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, the Packers wide receivers are doing a very nice job. Well, Packers wide receivers coach Edgar Bennett told me before the game that he sort of angrily addressed the group. He told them they are being much more physical out against the defenders. He said we got to do a better job getting off the press, use violent hands to shed those defenders. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thanks. And that's coming off a week in Seattle with those big, aggressive corners that the Seahawks have. Here's Breeze with play action rolling right. Fires to Lance Moore, and the pass incomplete. It bounced into number 16. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that Seattle defense, they're pretty good. And the Packers, if they didn't know it when they went in, they came out of that game knowing it. And they're able to get pressure on the quarterback, and they play physical on the outside. And, you know, these receivers for Green Bay, they're excellent players. And Seattle's going to do that against a lot of people. But I can tell you, as it relates to this game, if Aaron Rodgers continues to get the time like we've seen so far in this game, I mean, I don't care if they come up and press or they play off. It's not going to matter. He's going to pick them apart.
Breeze with a pump fake hits Pierre Thomas, who gets crunched out across the 30. Gain of 3. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
Redskins, Buccaneers, Robert Griffin III going to take it up the middle, 8 yards, and he gets crushed at the goal line. Pierre Garçon recovers. Touchdown. Redskins up on the Bucs 7-3. Joe, I wonder if Troy winces a bit when he sees quarterbacks get hit like that.
Yes. Trust me, he does.
Believe me, they don't get hit anything like what I got hit.
Okay, 3rd and 7. From the shotgun, good protection. Breeze has a man and has a first down. Guess who? Jimmy Graham. So both tight ends being featured here in the first half. Baseball's regular season comes to a close this upcoming week. And the National League's best teams will look to their brightest stars to make the next unforgettable play that will lead them eventually to the NLCS and a step closer to the World Series. Don't forget NLCS World Series here on Fox. All of that begins October 14th. Handoff is to Ingram. Mark Ingram, the first-round pick last year, gets 2. That's it. And he has not, Troy, made the kind of impact you would expect for a young running back with what he brought with him into the league.
Yeah, it's a little different here in New Orleans, though, because they've got, in fact, their leading rusher from 2 years ago, he can't even get active, Chris Ivory. But, you know, Mark Ingram, everyone has kind of their role, and when he's in, they're pretty heavy with the run. And I think those defenses know that, and he's had some tough runs.
Little pump fake, and wide open with the catch is Marcus Colston. He got past that initial defender, and there was a wide open gap in the defense for Green Bay, and one of the Packers is slow to get up. Colston now 3 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. That last one good for 17. MD Jennings is down, able to get up. We'll take a break here in Green Bay. They look at Jennings on the sideline. First down, New Orleans with the ball at the Green Bay 41.
50. Good yellow. Ready for shot.
Handoff is to Thomas. Pierre Thomas gets a yard. A.J. Hawk was there for Green Bay.
Well, you talk about this Saints offense and really, you know, the struggles that maybe they've had offensively and at quarterback. And you know, part of that is when you're not running the football any better than New Orleans has, and then you're struggling on the defensive side of the ball, that makes it awfully tough then on the quarterback. And the Saints have had a tough go in the first half here running the ball, and so they're completely dependent on the right arm of Breeze.
Play action, and the pass is broken up. Lance Moore, the intended receiver, and Tramon Williams, a Pro Bowler 2 years ago, got around him and knocked it away. 3rd down and 9.
Yeah, it's an excellent play by Tramon Williams, and he sees the slant, and it's really textbook. He comes in, he does get the right arm on him, but nothing to where a penalty should have been called, and is able to knock the ball down with the left. It's just a good play by an outstanding corner.
On 3rd down, Breeze. Broken up and incomplete. Colston, the intended receiver. Tramon Williams was there defending, wasn't alone. It's 4th down.
Good stop there defensively by Green Bay, and they had a chance if the ball had been thrown to the inside, but Casey Hayward, the rookie, he was there in coverage, and he was able to come in and make a play on it. And really, Saints are fortunate that ball wasn't intercepted. This defense, one of the best in the league at getting interceptions when balls are deflected like that.
It'll be a 58-59-yard field goal try from this spot, so the Saints punt it. And with Morstead hitting it, Cobb is out of bounds after a 31-yard punt. Aaron Rodgers, 2 touchdown passes today. Back to work, up 7. 4th possession for Green Bay. First one was 3 and out. Last 2 drives, 18 plays, 142 yards, 10 first downs, 2 touchdowns. Starting at the 8, and they start with it on the ground. Benson over the left side gets 4. And this Saints defense, ranked last in the league, has got to come up with a stop here and get that placement on the field, the advantage back. Spagnuolo, he told us he likes what he has, or likes the way the guys are playing, like 3 quarters last week, but not enough.
Well, he comes in and he puts in a little different scheme, and he's got some different players. It's going to take some time. It did certainly there in New York, but he knows that it's time for this group to show up.
2nd down and 6. Play action from Rodgers. Rodgers is knocked down at the 15 penalty flag as Tom Johnson was going after Aaron Rodgers and had his helmet taken off. See if that's where the infraction occurred.
Looked like it might have been Josh Sitton, the right guard, who was the one who took the helmet off.
Hands to the face. Number 71 in the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat, 2nd down.
71 right there on your screen. He goes hands to the headgear and then rips off the helmet of Tom Johnson. And these guys are tougher than I am. I think I'd go to the ground if my helmet came off. Remember Jason Witten a couple of years ago? He was hauling with the ball in his hands. Man, that's dangerous.
2nd down and 12.
54.
Ball's back at the 6. So an opportunity for this Saints defense, the beleaguered Saints defense. Watch out, Aaron Rodgers just got rid of it, and the pass caught by Nelson, now incomplete. That ball hit the ground, says one official, and it's incomplete. Jordy Nelson does not complain.
Well, Jordy Nelson has it in his hands, but as he's going to the ground, the ball comes out, and we've seen that now a couple of times when they've had opportunities to make a play. And it's the right call. That's an incompletion, and Aaron Rodgers is really fortunate. I don't think he really felt this pressure on his backside, and Will Smith is right there, and it looked like he was going to make a play before Rodgers did get the ball out of his hands, and that's something we saw a lot of last week against Seattle. Aaron trying to keep plays alive, and he took some pretty big hits.
Mike McCarthy's going to throw the challenge flag, and first of all, the play clock was winding down, so they were going to have to use a timeout anyway. But it seems like Mike McCarthy is just giving a challenge away right here.
Green Bay is challenging the ruling of an incomplete pass.
You've got to maintain possession of the ball going to the ground, and there's no way you can make the case that Jordy Nelson didn't trap that.
Well, a week ago you might have been able to.
Not now. We'll get the call when we come back. Good point, though. We have confirmation from the most popular man in the NFL, Mike Pereira, back in L.A., that he agrees with us that this ball comes out going to the ground. Here comes a call from Jeff Triplett.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. It is an incomplete pass. The receiver catches the ball, but in going to the ground, loses possession of the ball when he hits the ground. It is an incomplete. Green Bay is charged a timeout and their first challenge.
So only one more challenge remains, and that was clear cut. I don't know if these head coaches now in the home stadiums get goaded into throwing the challenge flag because they show the replay on the board, but the crowd reacted. Mike McCarthy pulled the flag out through it, and he's now down to 1 challenge for the rest of the game.
Hey, 50.
Now 3rd down and 12.
Lock in, check 30. Lock in, check 30. Check 30.
Extra men on the rush. This is Cobb. Make him go get the first down. Depends on the spot. He got popped by Corey White. Greer was out there, and it depends on if that's enough.
You see where he goes down, and he's clearly short of the first down line.
That was Martez Wilson coming back who gave him that big hit. In a pretty advantageous spot for the Green Bay Packers with where they marked it down according to our yellow line. It still may be short.
And from here, Joe, it looks like it's still going to end up being short of the first down marker.
See how good you are. Inches short. The Green Bay Packers this close to their own end zone will have to punt it away.
Well, that's a good stop there by New Orleans. You see them trying to generate some pressure and, third and long, bring the blitz, force Aaron Rodgers to get the ball out of his hands and then make the tackle. And they're able to make the tackle just in time and force the punt. And, considering the fact that the Packers have been able to move the ball, they got down the field on the last possession, come away with a touchdown. But a nice stop there, and now the Saints offense should get the ball with pretty good field position.
So it tilts the field position situation back toward the Saints. Sproles waiting deep. Mastay will hit it from just outside his own 5. Instead they fake it, and Kuhn has got a first down. A daring call that close to your own end zone. And John Kuhn, a Pro Bowler from a year ago, gets 5 and a first down.
Well, you're going to see the block down right here and then out, and then it opens up the lane for John Kuhn to be able to pick up that first down. Just excellent film study by the special teams during the week, recognizing that if they had an opportunity on 4th and short, that they had a good chance of being able to run that and picking up the first down. A pretty gutsy call on that end of the field to trust your players and then execute it.
Mike McCarthy told us that in his 7 years, this is the best group, special teams-wise, that he's had here in Green Bay. Blocking was good enough. John Kuhn, one of the better short yardage backs anyway, is there to pick it up. Now Cedric Benson over the left side gets 3. And even though the Saints defense comes up with a stop, the Green Bay special teams better than the Saints on that last try, and it's 2nd and 7, up by 7 from the 25. Rodgers keeps it. There's going to be a flag. There was a hold there with Robinson and Jordy Nelson.
They run a double move on the outside with Jordy Nelson. Patrick Robinson, he's looking inside. You see the little stutter, and that's really a smart penalty by Patrick Robinson. Otherwise, it's a touchdown. But Patrick Robinson recognizes that he's beat. He's fooled on the play,
number 21
and he
in the
grabs
defense.
a hold and
It's a 5-yard penalty.
gives up a lot of yardage.
First down.
But he saves a touchdown.
Just a 5-yard penalty, takes the ball to the 30, gives the automatic first down for Aaron Rodgers. Cobb got hit from Malcolm Jenkins on that last play. Here's Benson. Pushing the pile out across the 35, he gets 6. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, RG3 has already tied the Redskin record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in an entire season. This is his 4th in 4 games. They lead right now at Tampa, 14-3. Joe, Troy, and Pan.
OZ! Green 18! Green 18!
Thank you, Kurt. Handoff is to Benson again. He is tripped up by Roman Harper. It's a first down, but Harper saved a big one, a gain of 6.
Well, we talked about Cedric Benson and how comfortable he is getting. I mean, a guy who was picked up late. and how comfortable he has gotten within this offense. And even Mike McCarthy thought that last week against Seattle was about as comfortable as he has looked since he's been here, and I think he looks even more comfortable here today.
Now runs right. The Green Bay Packers have gone 30 straight games without a back rushing for over 100 yards. Cedric Benson, in his time with Chicago, more with Cincinnati, has had 17 career 100-yard days. He's got 4 here on this last carry, and he's almost halfway to the century mark at 46.
You got to turn it over there. 319.
2nd down and 6. Quick throw. Pass caught. Cobb wrestled to the ground, but flags on the tackle. Malcolm Jenkins. And there are 2 flags on the field, but it looked like, for the way Cobb was brought to the ground.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 27 in the defense. 15 yards added to the end of the run. First down.
At that bottom bar, the face mask. And now Green Bay in a blink's got the ball at the Saints 30.
Yeah, and that was Aaron Rodgers all the way there, because it was a run call in the huddle, and they were going to hand the ball off to Cedric Benson, and he started to run the play and then decided just to come up and get it to Cobb. And they get the good first down or the good completion, but then they tack on the extra yardage with the face mask.
Here's a little shovel pass to Benson. Running to his left, and Cedric Benson putting together a big first half. Gets 11. Roman Harper on the stop.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you, this offensive line, much maligned throughout the week because of what took place against Seattle, and they've done a good job here in this game. I mean, they've protected Aaron Rodgers, and then within the running game, they've provided some nice lanes for Cedric Benson. That play, a shovel pass, but sealed off nicely along that left side of the offensive line.
Rodgers with all day hits Benson. And Benson really running hard. This time on the reception, good for 5. And remember, all of this coming off the fake punt and the carry on 4th down and a couple of feet by John Kuhn.
Yeah, that's demoralizing for a defense. I mean, they make the stop, they get off the field, and then they have to come right back out here and try to make another stop, and it's asking a lot against a team that's as talented offensively as Green Bay is.
Passes off the arms of Nelson. That was Aaron Rodgers' fastball, and Jordy Nelson couldn't haul it in.
Jordy Nelson, he's such a big physical receiver. They get away with a hold right there. Patrick Robinson does. You see him pulling the jersey. But even with that, these are just balls. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is having a nice game here. He's already 16 of 21, but he's had 2 or 3 drops of those 5 incompletions.
The one by Finley, that one by Nelson.
This second one. 41.
3rd down and 5. Pass is caught. Touchdown, James Jones, his 2nd of the day.
See how Green Bay's been able to spread the ball. Just an excellent release. An excellent release by James Jones against Jabari Greer. You see him as he came off the line. He gave a little stutter, got Jabari on his heels, got inside, and then ran the slant route. And just excellent execution. I mean, for a quarterback, when you get that kind of separation by a receiver off the line of scrimmage, it sure makes getting the ball on him easy.
It's 21-7. James Jones, who signed a contract extension last year, was the forgotten man in this offense. Capitalizes after the fake punt. Kuhn picked up the first down. Aaron Rodgers with a 3-touchdown pass first half. For all of that, new episodes tonight on Fox. 1 to Jennings, 2 to Jones. The Saints, down by 14 points, will start at their 20. If you're just joining us, Aaron Rodgers kept this play alive and found James Jones. The answer from Drew Brees to Colston. And Aaron Rodgers dancing around, had enough time, found Jennings, and now after the fake punt, Jones with a nice move at the line. And in for his second touchdown of the day. And this is more Aaron Rodgers-like and Green Bay offense-like in the first 3 games. That's Colston, nice catch. Sliding down for a first down, a gain of 14. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Joe, injury news on Packers safety MD Jennings. Jennings has an injured shoulder. He's gone into the locker room for x-rays. He's been back there for a while, actually. His return is questionable. Back to you.
All right, Pam. Jerron McMillan has kind of slid in to a more prominent role defensively for Green Bay, along with Casey Hayward as the season's gone on. Penalty flag. Pass is caught, now incomplete, as Moore dropped it, but a flag at the snap. And that's a drop by Lance Moore.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 12 was run up on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
So that's the second illegal formation call we've had in this game, and it's the 6th Saints penalty of this first half. It's Aaron Cromer, the interim head coach. Joe Vitt will be back after 6 games, which is actually week 8 at Denver. This is getting critical for the Saints. Pass is caught. That's Henderson, his first catch. Knocked out of bounds by Williams, a gain of 10.
I know coming into this game, the Saints really want to try to establish some type of running game and get it going a little bit more than they've been able to. I mean, obviously, you don't throw for over 5,000 yards and be considered a running team, but they were a good running team last year when they ran the ball. And they've gotten away from that a little bit. They want to accentuate it more in this game. But when you get down 14 points, then you definitely have to come out and start throwing it more than you probably like.
Here's Sproles out of the backfield, and on second down, he'll be knocked down a yard shy of the first by Tramon Williams.
We see some of these weapons that Green Bay has to work with. They've utilized all of them throughout this game, but Drew Brees has some of those same players. Now, Marcus Colston, he's had some catches in this game, but he's not 100%. He's been battling a foot injury, and he's not running like we're accustomed to seeing him, although it's better than what it has been.
Timeout is taken by the Saints. That's their first. We'll check in with Kurt for a game break.
Well, one of the finds of the draft may turn out to be Alfred Morris, 6th-round pick out of Florida Atlantic. Takes this one 39 yards for the Redskins. His 4th rushing touchdown of the season. Washington in control right now in Tampa, 21-3. Still 5 minutes left in the first half. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Kurt. Washington trying to get back to the 500 mark, and 2-2 as they take on Tampa Bay. The Giants and Eagles play tonight. Should be a good one. And then Dallas will host the Bears on Monday night.
That's going to be a great game tonight. Within that division with the Eagles and the Giants, and an Eagles team at 2-1 that really has not played very good football. But they're hosting the Giants. We'll see how they do in this one.
That's Moore, and he is out of bounds with a first down on the catch. Tramon Williams defending. He got 2.
That was a big first down. You get that, and then you start to get into a position of being able to come away with some points. And Lance Moore has been a real security blanket for Drew Brees, a guy he has really liked over the last several years.
Ingram in the backfield. He gets it, lowers his head as he hits the line of scrimmage and forces his way for 2. B.J. Raji plugged up the middle. Under 3 to play.
I talked about Mark Ingram a little bit earlier, and I really like this guy. He reminds me a lot of Emmitt Smith, and the way that he's built, his quickness, and the burst that he has. And they put him in the game, and there just never really seems to be a whole lot of space for him. I mean, I don't think that his production, when you look at his yardage, I don't think it's real indicative of the type of player that he is.
2nd and 8. Free play for Breeze. Over the middle. It's dropped. Pass was dropped by Colston. He had a free one as it looked like Green Bay came across early.
Offside. Defense, nose tackle. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Let's take a look at the replay on this. There's the infraction against Green Bay, and that's why the drop. That ball was tipped on its way into the chest of Colston. 2nd and 3. Handoff to Thomas. And Pierre Thomas is a yard shy of a first down. Woodson came in to make the stop. And it's 3rd down.
That's the one thing about Charles Woodson. I mean, you talk about him going from corner and then to the safety position, and you know, he's always been kind of like an extra linebacker in there, and he's not afraid to mix it up in the run game.
2 minutes till Aikman hits the chow line and tears into a broad. 3rd down and 1 for the Saints. Beats a halftime is coming up. You wonder if the Saints don't make it, if they would go for it. They're 0-3. Their defense hasn't shown the ability to slow down Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't matter. Pass caught by Jimmy Graham at a first down just outside the 40, a gain of 5.
You always want to know how a team's going to play Jimmy Graham, and you know, on a critical 3rd down play for New Orleans, Charles Woodson was the one in coverage, but a big 3rd down play for New Orleans.
Saints need a touchdown here. Under 2 to play. This one, a miscommunication with Lance Moore.
No, there was contact at the top of the route, and Drew Brees, you can tell that he's frustrated because he threw it knowing that he had no chance of completing it. That's what Drew Brees saw right there. He went ahead and threw it, and he's expecting pass interference on Tramon Williams, saying that he was grabbed. Now the contact, Tramon Williams it looks to me like he's in a position, and he's entitled to hold his ground.
2-1. Saints with 2 timeouts, 2nd down and 10, down by 14. This one for Sproles. Got a block. Sproles still upright. Now he gets hit from behind. Walden down there to help on the tackle, a gain of 20.
There's Darren Sproles. He's an amazing player. You know, they have Reggie Bush. He leaves. They bring in Darren Sproles, and you know, similar in their skills, but this guy's just one of the most dynamic players in all of football, and so versatile, smart player. All the different places they're able to use him.
10th play of the drive. It's a completion of Moore. And Lance Moore is down to the 11. 2nd down, and Saints are handling this well. Not only do you want to get the touchdown, but take as much time as you can. With Aaron Rodgers on the other sideline. This one is caught. 1st and goal, Colston. And now a timeout is taken by the Saints. A gain of 5. DJ Smith on the tackle. 33 seconds left in the half. Timeout, New Orleans. Saw you nodding your head when I was saying that. When you've got Aaron Rodgers on the other sideline, get the touchdown, but don't give him enough time to negate it.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you. But there's enough pressure on you as the quarterback to score, let alone trying to protect the other side of the ball.
Breeze comes to Sproles, who's in for the touchdown. 27 seconds left in the half. And Drew Brees puts together a big drive for the 0-3 Saints.
Well, DJ Smith, he's the linebacker in coverage, and look what the task is that he has. You know, I mean, here you are trying to cover Darren Sproles, and he's got a 2-way break, and you think he's going to take the middle, and then he pivots out of that to the outside. It's just, you just can't cover this guy like that, and that's why I said, I mean, on the other side of the ball, a guy like Randall Cobb, when he gets more experience like Darren Sproles, he'll be doing those same kind of things.
33rd career touchdown for Sproles. That's his 2nd of the season. And that was a drive that was handled about as well as everything. The whole thing went well except for that little mistimed leap and celebration on the way back to the sideline.
I think that's the new thing.
Like the stutter jump.
It was kind of a psych type deal. I don't know.
Maybe that's the Ian Poulter move.
I hear that's not going too well.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. But Poulter looked like he was going to turn golf into a contact sport yesterday at the end of the day, getting Europe a little momentum heading into the final day of the Ryder Cup. Here, there's momentum for the Saints. You talk about an 0-3 team that needed a touchdown on the road. That was a big one scored by New Orleans.
Well, it's big, and it kind of goes back to the point made earlier that this Green Bay defense, pass defense, #1 ranked coming into this game, giving up just 125 yards, and the Saints have shattered that here in the first half. So a little different challenge for this defense here this afternoon.
By the way, the Saints will get the ball to start the second half, in case you're wondering. Green Bay has 2 timeouts left. This is Randall Cobb, who returned one against the Saints last year in his first game rookie season. The season opener here at Lambeau. What's coming up on the Visa halftime? Here's Kurt.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, we'll have highlights from a busy Sunday here in Week 4 of the NFL, including big wins for the Texans and Falcons to remain perfect, and big bounce-back wins for the Niners and Patriots. It's all on the Visa halftime. See you then.
Very intently studying the games was Terry Bradshaw while Kurt was talking behind him. Now, how aggressive do you want to be with 2 timeouts, 21 seconds left in the half?
I wonder how good that ice cream was that Jimmy got there at halftime.
Here's Benson. This looks like it's going to be a 7-point game at the half. It will. So that's it. Breeze and Rodgers, a 7-point game. Breeze has thrown touchdown passes to Colston and Sproles. Rodgers has thrown 2 touchdown passes to James Jones and 1 to Greg Jennings. Good one here at Lambeau. 7-point game at the half. Let's go to Kurt in Los Angeles for the Visa halftime right now. Welcome back to America's Game of the Week here at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 21-14 is the score. As we are moments away from the start of the third quarter, the Saints will get the ball to start the second half. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. Glad you're with us today on Fox. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Pam Oliver. Pam's down on the field. We're up here in the booth, and I think we're in store. Maybe. I don't know. Every time you say this, it's the kiss of death. But it seems like we should have a good second half in store for us here today.
Well, it sure looks that way, and we thought it would be when we knew this game was on our schedule. And you look at these offenses, 2 offenses that came into this game struggling, and yet they've been outstanding here in this first half, and they're playing the kind of football that we expected from them all season long.
So Sproles waits for it. Crosby will kick it away. And the second half is underway. From outside the end zone, Sproles, who has a touchdown receiving in this game, crosses the 20, knocked out at the 26, and let's go down to Pam.
Well, Joe, Saints coach Aaron Kromer told me at the half it was so great to snatch that momentum away from them. When I asked him about the fight in the New Orleans Saints, he says, we talk about being physical more than we talk about the score. A little injury update on Greg Jennings. Packers coach Mike McCarthy told me that they are looking at him, keeping him out a little bit to make sure that groin is okay. Back to you.
All right, Pam, he was only in on 13 offensive plays, does have a touchdown in this game. But the groin obviously still a problem. As Breeze keeps it, Throws it, and it is nearly picked off by Woodson. Colston, the intended receiver, and Woodson, a diving try in front of him.
You're going to see Marcus Colston. He's in the slot, and as he come off the line of scrimmage, I was watching him, Joe, and I talked about the foot injury that he's dealing with. Charles Woodson with a great opportunity there for the interception, but he's just not running. He's not known as a real speed guy anyway, but he's just not able to push Charles Woodson off of him because he's not threatened at all by him running by him.
On second down, Breeze was behind Lance Moore. Clay Matthews was out there defending, and Breeze had nowhere to go. And for the most part today, it's been around the line of scrimmage, nothing really deep out of the hand of Drew Brees. Third down and 10.
51.
Green Bay looked like came across early. De La Puente, the center, was hit as he was letting go of the snap. Here's the call.
Encroachment. Nose tackle the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
They got Gerald Worthy, and that changes everything really defensively on now what you're going to do. And the Packers were going to bring just a 3-man rush with it 3rd and 10. I mean, that's then challenging to throw against an 8-man drop in coverage, but you can expect a little different look here now from Green Bay.
Highlight Matthews. Hasn't had a ton of pressure today on Breeze, and this one is behind Graham, and the pass is caught for the first down. Let's take another look, see if he caught this going to the ground. I don't think so.
No, the point of the ball, he doesn't have full possession of the ball, and then as it goes down, it's trapped against the ground, and they're going to get this off, though, maybe. Well, looked like they had a chance, Joe, if they had just come up and Breeze had snapped the ball, that McCarthy wouldn't have got the challenge flag out.
Here's the official call from Jeff
Triplett.
Triplett.
Ruling on the field of a completed pass.
What happened was McCarthy was waiting to look at the replay on the board here at Lambeau. He saw the replay, threw the flag, and got it in prior to the snap. Second challenge by Green Bay, their final. Looks like a good one. We'll get the call here momentarily from Jeff Triplett. Certainly looked, and this is the best look at it with our super zoom there, with the ball definitely shifting and being trapped against the body in the ground by Jimmy Graham, going to the ground. They initially ruled it a catch. It was ruled an 8-yard catch on 3rd and 5. If it's overturned, then it's 4th down for New Orleans, but a long look under the hood, and now here comes Jeff Triplett.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Green Bay is charged a timeout and their second challenge. They're out of challenges for the remainder of the game.
McCarthy can't believe it. We checked in with Mike Pereira during the break. He thought it was an incomplete pass, and yet Triplett verifies that that catch was good, and Green Bay is now down a timeout, out of challenges, and I just flat out don't agree that this is a catch.
Well, I don't agree either. I mean, it does not look like he has possession, which is obviously what they ruled. It's clear that it hit the ground. Their ruling was that he had possession of it when it hit the ground. Ball didn't move. I disagree with that. Remember, these replays are shown here in the stadium, and so these Packer fans here, they saw the call as it was. They feel it should have been incomplete, along with the pass interference that wasn't called down in that end zone.
Handoff is to Pierre Thomas. and Thomas gets a yard. Nick Perry, the rookie, was in there on the stop.
I mean, these Packer fans are wondering if they're ever going to get a call.
We talked about the reception Jeff Triplett got when he and his group came out. A hero's welcome to their appearance here at Lambeau Field after that Russell Wilson to Golden Tate, no interception by Jennings, end of the game on Monday night in Seattle. Instead, a win for the Seahawks, a loss for the Packers. Wide open is Colston. And Marcus Colston is down inside the 35. And let's see what the Saints can do with this opportunity thanks to that call on the field of a catch on third down.
Well, Marcus Colston runs a deep crossing route, and he just runs through the defense, and they completely turn him loose. We've seen that now when the Saints have had some opportunities in that intermediate area because of the zone coverage that the Packers have been running, and they've just turned some guys loose there over the middle of the ball.
Sproles at the bottom of the screen, handoff to Thomas. And he is ripped to the ground after a gain of 2. You always highlight number 52 when you do a Packer game, and it's been a relatively quiet day for Clay Matthews against this offensive line of the Saints.
Yeah, Clay Matthews, who leads the team with the 6 sacks, and it's been pretty quiet for really both sides of the ball, and both of these offensive lines had a lot to prove after last week, and they have done a nice job.
2nd and 8. Handoff to Sproles. Down inches inside the 30. A gain of 2, so 3rd and long coming up. Casey Hayward, a rookie corner, in on the stop. It's 3rd and 6.
You think back to the, right now with the ball on the 30-yard line, I mean, they'll get an opportunity. Even if they don't convert here, the Saints will have an opportunity to come away with some points, primarily because of the ruling that was made in their favor.
On 3rd down, Breeze avoids pressure, has a man, Lance Moore for the first down. Out of bounds at the 11, and Lance Moore, who came in 5th in the NFL at 18+ yards per catch, is good for 19 and a big first down.
Well, excellent route by Lance Moore against Tramon Williams. You see the coverage, tight coverage, contact, but because of his quickness as he comes out of that break, he's able to create separation. And it was good that he did, because Breeze was a little late on the throw because of pressure in the pocket, but he created enough separation to still come down with the completion.
Breeze, roll right, throws left, dangerous. There was nothing there. DJ Smith was the closest one to it. He was trying to set up a screen for David Thomas.
I couldn't tell if DJ Smith just didn't see the ball when it was in flight, but yeah, when he turned to throw it, like he was in a perfect position there to make a play on the ball and intercept it. Very dangerous throw. You see right there, and Drew must not have seen DJ Smith at all when he turned that one loose.
2nd down and 10. Pump fake over the middle, pass dropped. The hit by Burnett. Lance Moore, the intended receiver. It's 3rd down.
That was close. Ball coming in, and that could have probably gone either way. And looked like there was contact just before the ball arrived. Tough one to see there for the official.
Another big 3rd down. Down by 7.
52 and 51.
Just got it away. Breeze underneath Sproles. And he will not pick up the first down. They barely got the play away, and then Darren Sproles underneath picked up 8. It's 4th down.
Well, they kind of created a wall there along the goal line. They rushed 3 guys, and you're going to see how much space there is when Sproles comes out of the backfield and catches the ball. But Green Bay, excellent job of then converging on him and making the tackle before he's able the one score, but he could have been able to pick up that first down without scoring.
Late decision by Aaron Kromer to send out the field goal unit. They have to scramble to get this away. 21-yard try. And penalty flags before the snap. And they're going to throw a flag as a fight breaks out. Not a big one. The officials get right in the middle of it, but there are two separate fouls as Hartley hit the 21-yarder, which would have made this a 4-point game. But it looked like Kromer initially was thinking about going for it. It's 4th and 2. Then late sent the field goal unit on. They got the play away prior to this play clock expiring. Here's a call.
Prior to the snap, too many men, defense. That penalty is declined. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 91 of the defense. That penalty is accepted. Correction, 9-0. Personal foul, half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
So the automatic first down. Watch B.J. Raji, and there are actually 13 guys out there defensively for Green Bay, and I think some of that was because the field goal unit came on late for the Saints.
Yeah, well, the Saints were trying to decide what they were going to do. The Packers are trying to match that up then, depending on whether they go for it or kick the field goal, and so they got confused. They got too many people on the field with substitution, and now they've got a first down.
Breeze rolling right, hits Ingram, and he's hit by Burnett immediately, a loss of 1. Let's go back to what set up the automatic first down. 2 fouls on the play, and it's B.J. Raji who gets shoved. He did something down there, it looked like, to Justin Drescher, who's the long snapper for the Saints. That's why he got shoved, and the officials caught the first act.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is normally it's the second guy who gets the penalty, but this time, somebody did, whether it's B.J. or somebody else, but it looked like they got the right team anyway.
2nd and goal. Colston out of his reach. With Williams defending, it's 3rd and goal.
Pretty telling. You get down here in this situation, and 1st and goal, you throw a pass. 2nd and goal, you throw a pass, and now it's going to be hard to do anything but throw the ball.
Saints came in rushing at only 28% of the time. 2nd lowest rate in the NFL to Tennessee. 3rd down. Pass is broken up. Williams got in front of it. Pass intended for Jimmy Graham. And it's 4th down again.
That's an excellent job by Tramon Williams. And first of all, he lines up hard inside, and he's anticipating the slant route. And so Drew Brees, he sees immediately where Tramon Williams is positioned. He's trying to put the ball on the back hip of Jimmy Graham and beat Tramon Williams with the ball, but that's just an excellent defensive play by the corner.
So a 20-yard try by Hartley, who makes it a 4-point game. 15 plays, but only 3 points. Down by 4 are the Saints with under 10 to play, 3rd quarter. 21-17, Green Bay on top. Trying to even their record at 2-2. Saints looking for their first win. There's the drive. 15 plays. 72 yards it covered. Remember that call that went the Saints' way, even though the Green Bay Packers challenged a catch by Jimmy Graham. It's a 4-point game. As Morstead hits it, Cobb will take a knee. See if we can get a better look at the B.J. Raji personal foul right in the middle of number 90. And he gives a knee to the head of the long snapper for the Saints. That's Justin Drescher. But then his group helped bail him out by a goal line stand, in essence, to get him off the hook.
Well, they sure did. That was a great defensive stand. They're not giving up a touchdown from 1st and goal and the 2-yard line.
Rodgers over the middle, wide open, Jordy Nelson. And Nelson is out across the 30 with a Green Bay first down. Lofton on the tackle.
Well, the Saints, if they're going to be able to slow down this offense at all, they're going to have to be able to generate a pass rush, and they can't do it. Unlike Seattle a week ago, who did it with their front four, the New Orleans don't have that luxury.
Nice catch by Benson. Grabbed it with one hand. A gain of 4, Lofton on that tackle.
And that's one of the things in talking with Steve Spagnuolo, you say, hey, who's your best pass rusher? And his response is, we're still trying to figure that out. And he's right. I mean, if you look at them and you say, who do we have to worry about as an offense? There's not that guy. Clay Matthews doesn't exist for the New Orleans Saints.
On second down, Rodgers, who has not been sacked, with a back shoulder throw and a catch by James Jones.
We'll take a look and see if he's got possession and his feet are in. They look pretty good.
Here it comes.
Quick snap by Rodgers. No extra look at it. Rodgers for Driver, and it's broken up. A flag comes in at the end. Pass intended for Donald Driver. It was tipped. And then Malcolm Jenkins came in and gave Driver a shot to the back.
Yeah, I don't know if they just didn't see this being tipped. There's not a hit on a defenseless receiver. There's nothing there. I don't think it was a late hit.
Eager use of hands to the face. Number 94, the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty and automatic first down.
So they don't even call anything on the back end. That flag, nothing on the coverage. Corey White got up and tipped it. And they get Cameron Jordan for hands to the face, and it's a first down at the 40. Jordan, by the way, was drafted to be that guy to have constant pressure on a quarterback. He's got 1 sack. Hand off to Benson. Benson dragged down by Lofton. A gain of 3, and let's go back to the penalty on hands to the face by Jordan.
I didn't see much there, Joe, and I don't know what they saw. I mean, obviously the flag comes out on the back end. That's what we were focused on. But even after going back and looking at that play, I didn't see that Cameron Jordan really did anything.
Second down and 7. Rodgers, wide open. Jordy Nelson, first down to the 25. Corey White on the tackle after a gain of 12.
Well, here's what Aaron Rodgers has had. You're going to see the pocket that forms. I mean, no pressure in the middle, and so, yeah, you feel some upfield pressure, but as the quarterback, that doesn't impact you. As long as you don't have anybody in your face and you're able to step up like Aaron Rodgers has been able to do throughout this game, I mean, this guy's too good. These skilled players are too good.
Rodgers rolling right, has a man, pass is caught. That's Finley. Got off to a fast start. His first catch in a while. That one good for 14. And by the way, anybody looking for the pressure that Steve Spagnuolo created when he was with the Giants as their defensive coordinator, the personnel isn't there. There's no Strahan. There's no Tuck. There's no Umanura. There's no Kiwanuka. It's a completely different situation.
Yeah, a lot of what Spagnuolo did there was not based on bringing extra people.
Benson over the right side gets 4. Brought down by Jenkins. And by the way, the Packers are doing this without Greg Jennings out on the field. That groin injury has caught him again, and now he is out of uniform, standing and watching.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a question when they decide whether or not they're going to pay him the huge contract that he's looking for. I mean, in the last several years, 2 or 3 years, he's not been able to stay healthy. I mean, he's had some nagging injuries, and he's entered this season, of course, missing the second game and then going out early in this one.
Free agent to be. Finley up at the top. Pass caught by Jordy Nelson. and a touchdown-saving tackle by Jabari Greer. It'll be third down.
That's a good tackle by Jabari Greer. Not an easy one to make on the outside, but they got to bring Roman Harper. You know, we talk about, hey, you can't get there with 4 guys. Now they're bringing the extra pressure to try to create a bad play from Green Bay. I mean, think about it. What illustrates what little pass rush they had. Roman Harper last year led the team in sacks as a safety with 7.5 sacks. I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
Third down and 3. Timeout, Aaron Rodgers. Second timeout. Charge to Green Bay at a 2 tight end set with Finley, who is split out to the left of Rodgers, and Crabtree out to the right. And whatever Aaron Rodgers saw, he didn't like. Saturday, it's our first doubleheader of the season. Aaron Andrews, Eddie George, and Joey Herring can get you ready for kickoff of the Fox College Saturday pregame show. Then it's a Pac-12 showdown as Arizona takes on 18th-ranked Stanford, followed by a huge Big 12 matchup as 8th-ranked West Virginia, following a big day on offense, battles 11th-ranked Texas. Coverage of Fox College football begins Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 in the morning Pacific. Rodgers back into the huddle facing 3rd and 3.
Well, Rodgers came into this game. I mean, he had not had a game this year in the first 3 with a quarterback rating, whatever you think about that, of 100 or better. Well, that, after putting together 13 of them last year in that MVP season, that won't be the case after this game.
He's already got 3 touchdown passes on the day. Shakes Jenkins. Pass broken up, but a flag is thrown. Jenkins was there. Rodgers threw him to the side, and then Aaron ends up with his helmet off. Here's the call. That's
Personal
why.
foul. Face mask, number 27 in the defense. Half the distance will go. Automatic first down.
So now Malcolm Jenkins comes up with a killer penalty against the Saints.
Yeah, he was in a good position there to be able to make a play, you know, on Rodgers, and got a hold of the face mask. May have even got Rodgers there in the eye, looks like.
And he is going to be looked at by the medical staff of the Packers prior to the 1st and goal from the 2. So the franchise quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, as Graham Harrell, who hasn't thrown an NFL pass, is getting loose just in case. Take a break, come back, and see how Aaron Rodgers is on the other side. 1st and goal, Green Bay. Just so you know, even though it was an injury timeout, Aaron Rodgers did not have to come out because the foul caused the injury on the hand that got inside the face mask. Missed that call by our referee. We'll get that in a second. Meanwhile, Harrell takes over. So the point is, the injury to Rodgers is bad enough to make him go to the sideline and get looked at. Getting poked in the eye. Now the ball comes out. This is a fumble, and it looked like New Orleans got on top. And so the scrum for the football. Will Smith is down there for New Orleans. And it just depends on who's strongest down there at the bottom. And it's New Orleans football. But let's go back. Watch Harrell get stepped on or tripped. right there with the left foot.
Yeah, he gets tripped coming out of there, and so because of that, he's not able to make a clean handoff. He's trying to get it to Cedric Benson. Here was the penalty earlier that got Graham Harrell into the game.
It was Saturday who tripped Harrell. No points for Green Bay. They lead by 4 as the Saints take over. Go back to the injury to Rodgers. When he got the hand inside the face mask, he did not have to come out, even though the injury stopped play and caused the timeout because the foul caused the injury. But the eye was bad enough that he came out. That's evidently what Jeff Triplett was saying, and we did not hear his announcement to the stadium. But just that Green Bay was going to their backup quarterback, Graham Harrell, who, as you said, got stepped on, and first NFL action regular season, he turns it over.
Well, you're going to see, I mean, this area of the field is so condensed when you're down here around the goal line that as a quarterback, you have to know that there's going to be a push. There's going to be a surge back into you. You got to get out of there quick. I mean, it's always something you got to be mindful of when you're down there. You're talking about a guy who hasn't been taking snaps, and he's just trying to secure the snap, and he's not able to make the exchange because he got tripped.
Here's a drop by Lance Moore. On second down, now it's third down. And one thing we really haven't talked a lot about, it certainly has been around the league, is Rodgers puts ice on the right side of his face and that right eye. Is the New Orleans Saints, when they lost their head coach, suspended for the year in the bounty scandal, lost the best play caller in the game in Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator, trying to figure that out as they go. Third down and 5. Pass is caught. That's a first down, and that's Moore, who just had the drop. This one good for 7.
Well, Clay Matthews, I mean, he works from a lot of different positions, and we've seen him in the middle quite a few times here today. And, you know, from the inside, they're able to get more big bodies on him, so they secure him up pretty well. But an excellent third down conversion there offensively.
Mike 50.
On first down, play action, Brees. Going deep, wide open for the catch is Morgan. He is still on his feet and in for the touchdown. Left all alone, and Joseph Morgan has his second catch, his first touchdown, 80 yards from Drew Brees.
Well, Sam Shields is the corner, but this safety here is going to work to the middle. Morgan Burnett, and I don't know, Sam Shields, the way he plays it, he thinks he's got somebody giving him some help because he just sat there cluing the quarterback and playing it as if he was expecting safety help over the top. If he doesn't get it, Drew Brees sees it. And then it was just a matter of whether or not he could get it to him in time before Shields made up the ground.
They talk about how fast Joseph Morgan is. He was caught from behind, but he was strong. They categorize him as a raw, young wide receiver who gets his first touchdown, and just like that, after the turnover on the other end, Drew Brees finds Joseph Morgan for an 80-yard touchdown, and it is on here at Lambeau in Green Bay. First career touchdown catch for Joseph Morgan, an 80-yarder following the Graham Harrell fumble. Drew Brees has hit 9 different receivers today for the Saints, and number 9 was number 13, Joseph Morgan. 80 yards later, New Orleans has its first lead of the day. And Aaron Rodgers will go back to the field after sitting that last offensive play out, down by 3. Get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile's free premium access this weekend. Call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile.
Well, here's that touchdown, and Sam Shields just not realizing what the coverage was, and he got over to the sidelines, and you know, this is the call you never want to have to take. But it's Dom Capers who he got on with to talk about what happened within the communication there and why Sam Shields thought he was getting help from the safety and wasn't.
Here's Benson, flag for a hold, it looks like. This one's coming back, and Green Bay is
Holding, 83 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Tom Crabtree. Let's give you a look at the penalty. Meanwhile, the Green Bay defense, and you called this early, which came in number 1 against the pass. Green Bay's defense over the first 3 games allowed 376 pass yards total. Today, 342 to Drew Brees. With Lance Moore, Colston, and Jimmy Graham, Sproles on the receiving end.
Well, just a little different caliber of quarterback than what they saw through the first 3 games.
Rodgers with protection to the sideline for Nelson. A nice completion on 1st and 20 of 16. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
Joe, back on the Arizona Cardinals against the Miami Dolphins. Here's Kevin Cobb looking 46 yards to Andre Roberts. Cardinals trying to go 4-0 for the first time since 1974 back in St. Louis. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Thanks, Patrick. Pass is caught by Crabtree. His first catch. Inactive last week, out with a bad shoulder. And this is 16 yards, and now with that bad right eye, Aaron Rodgers has made 2 completions after that early holding call.
You know, you get so tied up then trying to take care of these outside receivers. Jordy Nelson, it just opens up a big throwing lane, an area avoided.
They fake the handoff, and he's picked off. Intercepted by Patrick Robinson. Trying to get it to Jordy Nelson. Robinson was underneath and comes away with his first pick of the year.
You can see Patrick Robinson, he's locked up with Jordy Nelson, and he's able to get under that, and Rodgers clearly thinks he's going to be able to put enough air under this ball to get it over Robinson, but an excellent play by the former first-round pick. I mean, this is a guy who Steve Spagnuolo was talking about as one of the players who he really believes is up and coming and going to be an excellent player for this defense.
Starting for the departed Tracy Porter, that's his first interception, and for the Saints, only their 2nd of the season. Because it's a turnover, they verify it, and that was a clean catch going to the ground by Patrick Robinson. So the drive starts at the Saints 34. Ingram in at tailback. Up by 3. Brees underneath. Hits the fullback Jed Collins. Matthews on the stop. A gain of 13. We go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, the Packers have already lost Greg Jennings to a groin injury. Now Ryan Pickett, he was not in the lineup during the Saints scoring drive. The Packers left defensive end also has a shoulder injury. His return is questionable.
2 big names that, well, one is out, the other questionable. After hitting Collins, Brees has now hit 10 different receivers. It's first down. Hand off to Ingram, and over the right side, he gets just 2.
When you think back to the fumble and the exchange that took place down there for the Packers, and what a huge shift that was. I mean, that's a 14-point swing, and then all of a sudden it completely changes the dynamic and complexity of this game offensively for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. And you're saying, man, we've got to get going again, and then the short field back to New Orleans. It's a big defensive stand here for this Packers defense.
On 2nd and 8, down goes Brees, and that's Matthews' first. And 7th of the season for Clay Matthews.
They run a little twist here, and it frees up Clay Matthews. You're going to see Grubbs, the left guard. He's the guy who's got to be able to recognize that, feel it, come off of it, and then pick up Clay Matthews as he swings around. He recognizes it late, and with Clay Matthews' speed up inside of that offensive line, Drew Brees has no chance.
Already more sacks this year than all of last year for Clay Matthews. First sack for either team. It's 3rd and 17. 3-man rush. That's it. Over the middle. What a completion to Colston. And on 3rd down and 17, it's a completion from Drew Brees to Marcus Colston for 23 yards, and Woodson is down.
Well, they go zone coverage, and Drew Brees has picked it apart when they've been in zone. You're going to see here DJ Smith. He's the only guy who can get underneath this throw. And it's just an excellent throw within the seam and being able to get it over his head and then in front of the safeties by Drew Brees. It's a perfectly thrown pass right into the hole in the weakness of that zone defense.
The right shoulder of Charles Woodson took the brunt of that hit. He's on the sideline. It's 1st and 10. A conversion on 3rd and 17 after the sack. Handoff to Sproles. Nowhere to go.
That's just a little bit of the youth there of DJ Smith at linebacker, second-year player, knowing that it's 3rd and 17. You've got to just keep getting your depth and make them throw underneath and come up and then make the tackle.
That's the end of quarter number 3. Saints up by 3 with the ball. Fox NFL Sunday returns after this from your local Fox station. America's Game of the Week is into quarter number 4. 3-point lead for the Saints. They have a 2nd and 10 with the ball inside the Green Bay 40 at the 38.
Hey, 52 and 51.
Pass is dropped off to Thomas, and what a play by DJ Smith. A loss of 4.
That was an excellent play by DJ Smith. I mean, he recognizes it right here. And he sees it coming, and he takes off. As soon as he sees Pierre Thomas work to that way, he's then anticipating they're coming with the screen. He's able to beat the offensive lineman that were trying to pick him off. Big stop.
3rd down has been kind to Drew Brees. He's been deadly accurate today. Down the middle, he's got another, and it's Marcus Colston. Another 3rd down conversion, this time to Colston for over 20 and a 1st down at the 15.
Well, you give him a free release off the line of scrimmage. They don't reroute him at all. They don't jam him when he's trying to come off the line. That's what we've seen really on both of these plays. And he has a free run right down the seam. And Sam Shields looked a little confused even there that Colston was not going to run by him.
Brees has had a 400-yard day as Pierre Thomas stays up and gets inside the 10 down to the 9. That was a 27-yard completion on 3rd down. You think about the first 3 games, Troy, and Drew Brees was not himself accuracy-wise. Just under 55%. Last year set an NFL record in completion percentage of over 71%. Here today, he's over 73%.
Well, the team on 3rd down is converting almost 70%.
Brees throws it away. Pierre Thomas, the closest one to it. And it's another big 3rd down. But back at this end of the field, not too long ago, that hand to the face inside the face mask by Malcolm Jenkins set up 1st and goal. But it also knocked Rodgers out of the game. The fumble by Graham Harrell. Moments later, an 80-yard touchdown pass to Joseph Morgan, his first touchdown in his NFL career. And it's a 3-point Saints lead. They've got a 3rd and 4. Brees, left side, dropped into the chest and then down to the ground as Devery Henderson was the intended target. And the Packers defense at least comes up with a hold down near their own end zone on 3rd down.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, you look at this drive here by New Orleans and converting, a couple of long 3rd down situations and, getting down here inside the 10-yard line. It looked like they were well on their way to come away with another touchdown, but a nice stop keeping this a 1-possession game for the Packers.
Hartley's 5 of 6 on the year. Now 6 of 7, 2 for 2 today. That one good from 27. It's a 6-point game here in Wisconsin. They call that the Packers Heritage Trail. It consists of 22 commemorative plaques, landmarks throughout Green Bay. Curly Lambeau through Vince Lombardi. The trail tells the story of how this franchise evolved as a community property. And the community here is wondering if this is going to be a 1-3 start to the 2012 season, down by 6. Saints with 10 points off Green Bay turnovers last 2 times they've had the ball. Here's Cobb on a hop. Gets to the sideline and turns in a good return of 35 yards. Johnny Patrick on the stop, and all of us at Fox want to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do, and we hope you're enjoying today's telecast, which has turned into a good game. 6 points separating the Saints 0-3 and the Packers 1-2. Under 13 to go, fourth quarter. That's a toss to Benson. Good blocking out in front of him, and Cedric Benson got 9. Roman Harper there for the Saints.
Benson has run the ball well here this afternoon, and that's the easiest way to kind of settle down an offense and settle down a quarterback. And Rodgers has played really well in this game, but after getting poked in the eye and then coming off of that and throwing the interception, just to try to get everybody to take a deep breath, you're able to come back, give the ball to Benson, and pick up 9 yards. That's a nice first down play.
So 2nd and 2, and Rodgers starts from a shotgun. Rolling to his right. Nowhere to go with it. And he found Nelson, but too late, out of bounds.
Yeah, no, Rodgers was actually trying to buy some time and come backside on a deep ball, but it wasn't there. And then I think he was just throwing this ball away. I think once he gets out here on the sideline, but had he hung in there a little longer, he could have made it a real easy completion, but he's essentially throwing it away, and then Jordan Nelson is trying to make the miraculous catch, and he just was unable to do so.
On top of that, had he tucked it and taken off to the sideline, he gets the first down. Instead, it's 3rd and 1. Rodgers keeps it. He'll run left side, make the first down. Got around Greer and takes it into Saints territory. A 10-yard run for Aaron Rodgers, who came in with 38 yards rushing on the season. This is that added element he brings.
Yeah, a lot of times a quarterback has the ability to just keep the ball whenever he feels that there's no backside contain on the handoff. But that was a design keeper the entire way. Aaron Rodgers, they see that from upstairs, that, hey, there's no backside contain, and they call it, and there was nobody there.
Rodgers, sideline for Jones, overthrown. Robinson defending. 2nd and 10 for the Packers, down by 6.
We had Jones and Jordy Nelson on that play, so.
So now 2nd and 10.
58. 50. 319.
Handoff is to Benson. Cuts upfield, cuts back a bit. Lofton on the tackle, a gain of 3. 3rd and 7 coming up.
I thought it was interesting in visiting with Mike McCarthy about Cedric Benson. They've been singing his praises ever since they signed him, even going into the season, and what he was going to mean to this team. But McCarthy, as he said to us, said, I think when this season's told that this guy Benson is going to have had the biggest impact on our team. High praise for a guy who was out of football throughout the offseason.
Big pickup by Ted Thompson.
What is it?
It's 3rd down and 7. Rodgers to his right, throws high. Two guys had a shot. First Cobb, then Driver, and neither one comes away with a catch. It's 4th down.
Oh, Aaron does such a nice job of getting outside the pocket, and then Cobb working to get back into the quarterback's vision and give him somewhere to go with the ball. It looked like that's where he was going with it, to Cobb. I don't think he was trying to get it to Donald Driver, but a ball that gets away from Rodgers, which is just something you're not used to seeing.
Only the second Green Bay punt. Out of bounds inside the 20. We'll see where they mark it. At the 9. That's where Drew Brees and the Saints, who lead by 6, will set up with over 10 to go in the game. The Saints trail by 14 points with under 30 seconds left in the first half, as we give you a little bit of a recap. But so much has happened. It was James Jones with a touchdown, then Sproles on an edge, and then after Aaron Rodgers got hit in the face, he came out. Graham Harrell on the first play he had from scrimmage, put it on the ground, an 80-yarder for the first NFL touchdown of the young career of Joseph Morgan. Then a short field goal later, and it's now a 6-point Saints lead with the ball at their own 9. On first down, Brees overshoots Lance Moore. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, on the first play after Miami picked off Kevin Cobb in the end zone, Ryan Tannehill hooks up with Brian Hartline. 80 yards for the touchdown. Troy might want to sit down and listen to these numbers. Hartline, 245 yards receiving. Tannehill, 418 passing. And they have the lead, trying to upset Arizona at the 2-minute warning. Joe?
If that holds up, only Atlanta will be left in the NFC undefeated. Houston still undefeated in the AFC. 2nd and 10. Brees, quick setup and throw. That's up for grabs. And two Packers came together. Williams and Burnett. It was tipped by DJ Smith. Two guys had a shot at the interception. Neither one comes down with it.
Well, that's the second time today we've seen a ball get deflected up in the air and not come away with interception. This one, even more so than the one in the first quarter. I mean, right in the arms, and because they're fighting over the ball, they're not able to make a play. That would have been huge for this Packers offense, and the Saints avoid a big mistake.
DJ Williams made the initial tip. DJ Smith, rather. It's 3rd down and 10. Penalty flags fly. The play clock is at 0. We'll see if the Saints got a timeout in.
Timeout, New Orleans. They're first.
So the first timeout prior to a delay of game. Take a break, come back. Big 3rd down and 10 when we return to Lambeau. Saints are 9 of 14 on 3rd down. It's 3rd and 10. Blitz. Saints pick it up, and the pass is behind Graham. It's 4th down.
Well, Green Bay would have sure liked to have had an opportunity to give the ball back to that offense with a short field had they been able to make the interception. But the next best thing is they do make the stop this time on 3rd and long and force the Saints to punt. And with Randall Cobb returning, I mean, they should get the ball with excellent field position.
Morstead hits it. Cobb is driven to the sideline. We'll see where they mark it. They're going to mark it outside the 40 at the 43. So from the 43-yard line, that's where this will begin. Fox Sports is proud to partner with the Children's Organ Transplant Association during our NFL on Fox coverage. CODA is giving hope and making miracles for families whose children are facing transplants. To help change a child's life, please visit coda.org/Fox Sports.
41.
Back to work, Aaron Rodgers.
Quick enough.
with the Packers' best starting field position of the day. A handoff to Benson. He's run well. Cedric Benson takes it into Saints territory, a run of 8. Ran right through Corey White on his way to that 8-yard gain. As you look at the NFC North, Minnesota with another victory. Christian Ponder off to a good start. They beat Detroit. They lead the division. Then you've got Chicago, which plays tomorrow night in Texas, then Green Bay.
When you get this league figured out, you let me know.
Yeah, it's harder than ever. 2nd and 2. A block on the outside for Cobb. And he is flipped, but with a first down. James Jones through the block. And that was a well-designed play, a gain of 8.
Yeah, it was well-designed because of the coverage that the Saints were in, and James Jones is able to help then, with the block. You see there, he's able to secure the outside help that Jabari Greer would have been able to provide, and at least give Cobb a little bit of space to run once he got the ball in his hands.
So a first down at the 41. Four-man rush. Rodgers, good pocket. Nice catch by Cobb. Off his hip. And Randall Cobb picks up 7. Lofton on the tackle, and Green Bay trying to take it down, trailing by 6, get into the end zone with under 9 to go in the 4th quarter.
Well, we talked about the difference that Sproles makes, and this is Cobb, and Curtis Lofton's trying to cover him one-on-one, and you just can't do it. And he was in a good position. He's just not as fast as Cobb is.
There's the day for Cobb.
50.
Look left, rolls right, finds Nelson, first down. A completion of 6 yards with Roman Harper defending.
Well, Corey White, he's got a free run at Aaron, and Aaron sees it, and he's able to then move to his right, and while he does, he then just works that half of the field and gets the ball to Jordy Nelson. So it's a good job on his part. He's either got to get the ball out hot to his left or do what he did, buy him some time and find someone then on the front side.
Cobb starts this play in the backfield. On first down. That's Cobb. Right up the gut. And Randall Cobb has got a first down at the 11.
Here's Cobb right here, and you're going to see they run a stun up front and how much space there was. I mean, based on what the defensive front was doing there, offensive linemen, they just got to continue to run those guys up the field, and created a huge hole for Cobb on the shovel pass.
Green Bay got to the line quickly. This one for Driver. A lot of contact, no flag. Malcolm Jenkins back there defending. Rodgers wanted a flag. He doesn't get it. It's 2nd and 10.
It looked like there might have been a hold at the... No, I saw the movement by Donald Driver. I think it was a good no call. Initially, it looked like there was a grab. I didn't see it there on the replay, but the way that Donald Driver came out of that break, it sure looked like something that had held him back.
The one offensive play where Rodgers was not in the game and under center for the Packers changed the entire complexion of the second half. Pass caught. Nelson. Touchdown.
Pam Oliver did the report. Edgar Bennett, the wide receivers coach, wanted to see these receivers get off the jam and be more physical. Well, Jordy Nelson does a good job there. Patrick Robinson, who's in coverage, he's able to challenge Jordy, but Jordy gets inside, and then it's a matter of being able to make the catch, knowing you're going to take a hit from the safety and hang on to it. And Jordy Nelson, he's a big, strong wide receiver, and then he just barrels his way into the end zone.
He had 15 touchdown receptions last year, getting Played with on the sideline by Greg Jennings, who has a touchdown in the game. He's been out with a bad groin. Jordy Nelson gets his first of the year, and Aaron Rodgers has a 4-touchdown day. Jordy Nelson was physical at the beginning of the route and at the end after the catch to get in for the touchdown.
That's always a tough one to make when the ball's high, knowing you're going to hit from the safety, but he made it.
This for the lead. Packers up by 1. Aaron Rodgers with a 4-touchdown day, the latest. Jordy Nelson gets his first of the year. That had to feel good for Nelson. Prior to that drive, the Saints had scored the previous 20 points. Saints trailed by 14 with under 30 seconds left in the first half. For the next 20 minutes, they scored 20 points, but a hold defensively on a big third down by Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson took care of the rest. A return for Darren Sproles from inside the end zone. Stays on his feet, still going. Brought down from behind. Ball came out. The fight for the football, and no signal yet. Sproles got hit from behind.
You do not want to know what's going on at the bottom of that pile. I mean, it's just a free-for-all. They're trying to get in there and sort it out.
Jeff Triplett, first week back, is right in the middle of all that, trying to get Charles Woodson out of there with his hat off. Still no call. The officials will get together. Desmond Moses has the football well behind all the fighting going on. He's back at the 40. Desmond Moses, the rookie linebacker's got the ball.
The ruling on the field is the runner is down by contact. First down.
Let's take another look. Wow. That ball is out.
Well, it's clearly out. The only way, they can challenge it, but it wouldn't do any good because they've got to be able to show that they've recovered the ball.
And on top of that, they're out of challenges anyway, but as you said, you have to have a clear recovery, and this is a blown call.
Well, that ball came out really early. A lot earlier than I even thought it did, Joe.
Desmond Moses knocked it out and recovered it, and Mike McCarthy is thinking, here we go again.
Well, they didn't even say who actually recovered the ball. So, I mean, you're right. They don't have any challenges. They can't challenge it. And even if they could, there's no clear evidence as to who recovered it. And I don't even know if the officials really know who had it.
But this ball is clearly out as Desmond Moses knocked it out. And then when they were fighting for the ball, Moses came out of that pile with it. And Mike McCarthy, there's just nothing to do. There's nothing he can do. It's just a blown call. And if the honeymoon wasn't over early in the first half, it is dead now for the regular officials, especially here in Green Bay. They've had enough. Here's Sproles. Right up the middle, and Sproles is out to the 40, picked up 9. And now some of the frustration as Woodson gets into it. The clock is stopped with 6:41 left. And that's David Thomas, the tight end that he got into it with.
I didn't see what exactly initiated. Dave Thomas was probably blocking then Charles Woodson. And Woodson felt that something inappropriate happened, but someone needs to just grab Charles Woodson and settle him down.
Well, Shields is trying. Woodson won't let him. 2nd and 1.
Hey, Okie, hey.
Here's Ingram. Cuts upfield. Brought down right at the marker by DJ Smith. Let's go back to what upset Woodson. Right there on the left side. He got run into late by David Thomas. Now we're going to have a measurement after that run by Ingram, but this crowd feels like it's about to boil over here with these fans at Lambeau. And it's enough for a first down for the Saints, but these fans, after that brutal call last week in Seattle, and now after regaining the lead, a fumble by Sproles on the kick return, but they ruled him down by contact. Green Bay out of challenges and no clear recovery on the fumble, so not reviewable. Breeze goes down in the arms of C.J. Wilson.
Here's C.J. Wilson, Ben Grubbs. He just gets right by him and that's the pressure that I talk about. It's not so much the outside pressure, but when you have no pocket, nowhere to step up, it creates all kinds of havoc for a quarterback, and it's immediate. And Breeze has no chance.
51.
Second and 17. Breeze over the middle's got Colston. And how many times have the Saints been faced with big yardage on a down? A lot of the times third down, and Colston's been on the receiving end.
Yeah, it's been pretty constant. You know, I mean, we see these guys get off the line of scrimmage without anybody trying to redirect them. And so you give a talented receiver the ability to get off the line of scrimmage unencumbered, and then you give the quarterback a chance to sit there with time, which he had there. You're going to get a lot of completions, and we've seen that a number of times here for New Orleans.
So now 3rd and 2. Four-man rush over the middle, broken up. Sproles got popped by DJ Smith. It's 4th down and a decision for the Saints.
You see Sproles, he's going to run the post route from the backfield, and he has it. But DJ Smith, who recognizes it, doesn't even try to play the ball. He just tees off there on Sproles.
And right now the Saints showing they're going to go for it.
Well, I don't think either of these coaches feel good about their defenses in being able to make a stop. And so I'm sure Cromer's looking at it. If we punt, I'm not so sure we're going to give up more points.
Look at the play clock at 1 and now expired. And that'll take the decision.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That flips the decision the other way.
Well, you saw Drew Brees. I mean, he was still motioning players with the clock well down to 0. I mean, he had no idea. And you know, regardless of whether plays are coming in on time.
Now they're not going to penalize.
Timeout.
They're going to pick up the flag and say that the Saints got a timeout on the sideline prior to the flag being thrown.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The timeout clearly had to have come from the sidelines, which obviously you can do because Drew Brees, he had no idea that the clock was showing 0. He was still motioning players within the formation.
Here's the honeymoon period today. This is Jeff Triplett, the referee, coming out before the game. That's the high point. The honeymoon has lasted shorter than a Kardashian honeymoon, as it's been ugly here in the second half. And that missed call will be talked about the rest of this week on the kick return by Sproles if the Saints go on to win this game. 4th down and 2. 4-man rush. Pass is caught for a first down by Lance Moore. Casey Hayward on the stop. A 6-yard completion, and Drew Brees gets maybe his biggest of the night.
Well, it's the exact same route they tried to hit Sproles on him, and I don't even know how he caught it. See, Hayward has got his left arm on him, turns him. I mean, they could have called pass interference there on the play, but for Moore to even make the catch, pretty amazing.
1 point Green Bay lead. Breeze fires in the air and incomplete. Moore started to make a move before he caught the football. Let's take a look at that timeout, which changed what the Saints were going to do. We'll see if we can see it. There's Cromer on the right. Actually, two guys calling a timeout as the play clock was very close to double zeros. 2nd and 10. Breeze. Pass caught by Moore. Inside field goal range now are the Saints after that completion to Lance Moore of 14 yards.
Excellent route by Lance Moore. He's had himself a nice game here, and he starts inside, and then he's able to get the corner turned and get back out on the out route. You see there, I mean, once he gets the hips turned there by Hayward, and Moore knows he's going to the sidelines, he's beat. And Drew Brees knew that, and that's textbook route running right there.
Under 4 to play. That's Sproles in motion. Penalty flag flies. And this one will be against the Saints.
False start. Number 13, the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
More good games next week on Fox. We take a look at the list. It starts with the Eagles and the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Packers are at the Colts, Falcons, and Redskins later on in the day. The Bears and Jaguars. The Seahawks and Carolina. Starting with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. 1st and 15. Extra men on the rush. Pass is caught. That's Graham. Makes one move, and Jimmy Graham is out of bounds. They're going to mark him out at the 25.
You know, we had a shot there of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure that, you know, he's just saying, hey, you know, whatever's going to happen, let's just make sure it happens. Either the defense makes a stop or you let them score. But, you know, right now the Saints being able to move the ball down the field and taking time off the clock, if they're able to, you know, regardless of what happens on this drive, if the Saints come away with points, as long as they give Aaron Rodgers time, I mean, he's got to believe he's got a real shot at this the way they've moved the ball.
Almost 900 yards of offense as Thomas gets half a yard. So another big 3rd down coming up as we approach 3.5 minutes left. Each side with only 1 timeout remaining. Take a look at the NFC South. Atlanta came back to beat Carolina earlier today. They're 4-0. Then you've got Tampa Bay. They were trailing at last check and still are at home to the Redskins. Green Bay at 1-2. Leading, but the lead is hanging in the balance. 3rd and 4. Off the edge comes Matthews. Doesn't get there. The pass incomplete. Sproles, the intended receiver, with Jerron McMillan, the rookie safety in coverage. It's 4th down, and the field goal unit comes on.
And I couldn't tell if McMillan got his hands on this ball or not. Nope, it was just a drop. I mean, I saw McMillan lay out, but couldn't tell if he got any piece of it. And it's just a simple drop. A perfectly thrown ball by Breeze. Can't be behind on that throw. Leaves him perfectly with just a drop.
43-yard try to regain the lead by Hartley. He's missed only once this season. And that's still true as Hartley hits from 43. A penalty flag is down on the field.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
And that will move the ball back where it would make it a 53-yard try. Let's take another look at the bottom of the screen. Thomas.
Yeah, he gets his hands on him. You see it, Sam Shields trying to get him in there to make a play on it, and Thomas got him with his left arm.
So now a 43-yard try becomes a 53-yard try. This would match his career high. We'll see which side this one goes against. Both sides think it's against the other. Green Bay may have given 5 of those yards back.
Encroachment, defense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So now a 48-yard try. There was some flinching on the offensive side. Daniels came across. So here we go again. 48-yard try for the lead. The kick. No good. And now the 0-3 Saints have 1 timeout remaining. Down by a point with 2:49 left.
Well, the snap was good, Joe. The hold was good. It was just a ball that was pulled left.
And the Packers, who did not get the call on the fumble kick return by Sproles, got a drop by Sproles on 3rd down. A big one. Then the holding penalty on David Thomas, and now it's Benson right side. Benson fumbled late last week in Seattle. Gains 3 over the right side, and here is the play and the hold on 85 Thomas that took the 3 points off the board.
Yeah, he got him, and you see, I mean, he redirected Sam Shields. It was a good call. It was the right call, and that was the difference. Of course, they made that field goal with the penalty. They picked up the extra 5 yards with the encroachment by Green Bay, but you know, Hartley yanks it left, and now looking at this with Cedric Benson, you know, Aaron Rodgers is hoping that he doesn't have to throw the ball again, that they're able to hand it to him, and Benson's had a nice day. But a couple of first downs, and they'll be able to run this clock out.
Timeout taken by New Orleans. They are out of timeouts. 2nd down and 7. See how long this play takes. They toss it to Benson. He goes down, but under 40 seconds. So now with that play, the Packers do not have to snap it again before the 2-minute warning. Let's go to, we could check in with Kurt for a game break, but we're going to stay right here as this will take us to the 2-minute warning as the game clock is under the play clock.
Yeah, this is interesting here. I mean, I got to believe, well, you know, Mike McCarthy, he's thinking first down. Now, do you run the ball? And if you don't make it, you run off as much time on the clock as you can, or do you do what gives you the best chance of picking up the first down and throwing it at the risk of an incompletion and stopping the clock? My guess is if you've got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you're going to throw it.
We're at the 2-minute warning in Green Bay. Good game. 1 point separating these two. Green Bay up 1. Matchup in this game of 2 quarterbacks who came in who by their standards were struggling. Breeze and Rodgers not struggling today in a big 3rd down now.
Yeah, my guess is you're going to try to get Rodgers out of the pocket and let him see the throw, and if it's not there, he can run.
Saints stay onside. Pass is caught somehow by James Jones. They're going to throw a flag as the defender did not get his head around, but that first down, if it stands, will in essence end the game. I don't know how he caught it.
Pass interference, number 33 of the defense. The penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
And a little extra on the first down from Jeff Triplett as Jabari Greer didn't get his head around. That catch is ridiculous.
Well, they were going to get the first down because of pass interference anyway, but yeah, I mean, how James Jones is able to make that catch is pretty remarkable. But now with no timeouts for New Orleans, the Packers can just take a knee and run this thing out.
They'll be 2-2, and the Saints, despite a great effort here today, will go to 0-4. Fox's football coverage won't end when this game is over. Afterwards, stick around for the OT where Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy bring you extended highlights, analysis, exclusive interviews, and a look ahead to next week's action. America's #1 post-game show, the OT, presented by Lowe's, coming up after the action right here on Fox.
I tell you, that's a man right there, Mike McCarthy, who looks absolutely just spent. You know, this game and probably this season up to this point has just taken everything out of him. And then, of course, Drew Brees, just exasperation on when they're going to win a game.
No Tampa Bay Schiano fire out by the Saints on the kneel down. Meanwhile, how impressed were you last week at the way Mike McCarthy handled that mess that happened in Seattle with his team making the flight back with a record of 1-2.
Yeah, impressed, but not surprised. You know, I mean, you come to expect that from Mike McCarthy and really this Packers organization. And as tough as that was last week, and as much as I'm sure Mike McCarthy wanted to say, I thought he showed a lot of class and really represented the organization well.
What a game. 28-27 the final. Green Bay 2-2. The Saints go to 0-4. Drew Brees, a big day in the losing effort. 35 of 54 for 446 yards, 3 touchdowns, but it came down to the right leg of Garrett Hartley, who after making from 43 and a holding call bring it back, missed from 48.